Hi, hello. Welcome to an episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is March 11th, 2023. Hopefully, this episode finds you well in good spirits. Let's see. Oh, yeah, high hopes, of course, of course. How am I doing? Pretty good. It's a nice Saturday morning. I will say I slept in. I woke up around 8 ish, which always is like that's later. That's later in the morning for me. And I got to sleep about what 6 hours, 7 hours. Yeah, like I woke up in the middle of the night. I don't even get too much in my sleep schedule. It's not great, but overall, it's nice to feel rested. That's the moral of that story. Food corner. Gosh, I had some peanuts. I've eaten some peanuts. Also, fun, maybe cringe fact about me. Um, I like peanut shells. Like, obviously, I like the peanut inside. But a big draw for me is the salt on the peanut shells. So I will just eat them whole. Um, yeah. But today I cracked them open. I didn't want to deal with all the shells and stuff in my teeth right now. It's too early for all that. But yeah, things are going well. I'm feeling pretty good. We can get into some news. From the Associated Press, Chile. Attempted $32 million airport heist leaves two dead. Now, I gotta say, this is a little bit of personal injection here, I guess, but I've said this before. I'm big into cons. I'm big into heists. I'm big into frauds. I'm big into any kind like I don't want to say I like crime. That sounds weird. It's not like I want to support it or I advocate it or anything, but it is one of those things where I do find it interesting. And lately, I've been listening to this podcast. It's literally called Heist Podcast. I don't think they're still making episodes, but it's just like literally two guys just doing like heist news, and then they'll do like a big heist that they found either like in the past or just big notable ones like internationally. I just really have been enjoying listening to it. So when I got the chance to talk about a literal heist that's happened in the news today, I was like, sweet, let's talk about it. So let's see. An airport shootout in Chile's capital killed a security officer and an alleged robber Wednesday in what authorities said was an attempted heist of more than $32 million in cash aboard a plane from Miami. So I'm guessing this is money for the country or whatever. It gets printed maybe in the U.S., gets shipped over, Chile. It was supposed to get put into a Brinks truck, and these 10 heavily armored robbers were able to get through security and like besiege the aircraft with the money in it, but they weren't successful. And sadly, there's loss of life. So that's bad. Like obviously, for high standards, this is a womp womp because people died. That fucking sucks. These are supposed to be smooth getaways. No bodies, no witnesses, whatever. Everything's clean. And also, you didn't get the money, so that's no good. I will say though, it was interesting to hear that people have been successful with this high strategy though. This is not the first time the airport in Chile's capital was targeted. In 2020, thieves stole some $15 million from a warehouse in the airport, 6 years after a similar $10 million heist. So, I mean, people have maybe seen this, maybe emboldened. $32 million is a big number. So, excuse me. But definitely, like I said, sad that people were killed in the process. But the other robbers did flee, and also two burned vehicles were later found nearby. So maybe there'll be an update. Maybe they do wind up catching more people. Who knows? But yeah, crazy shit. Yeah. But we can go ahead and move along. Oh, also that took place Wednesday. Let's see. Moving along. From CNN. CSX freight train derails after striking rock slide in West Virginia, injuring three and spilling diesel into the river. So, this is not a Norfolk Southern situation. This is a train by a different name and color. I've actually, I've, I live in a place where there's a lot of train activity, so I've seen a CXS train before. But let's see, a CXX freight train derailed Wednesday morning after striking a rock slide in a remote area of West Virginia, injuring three crew members and spilling diesel fuel into a nearby river, according to a company press release. I mean, this shit's crazy, man. Like, I do feel like now that more eyes are on this shit, it's just like this just happening way too much. And like once again, yes, this is a different company, different railroad operators, what have you. But I'm sure, yeah, again, I can't state this shit enough that like when you look into this shit, there should be more. Just I don't know. This should be happening less. There should be more safety. There should be more hands on deck. I feel like to prevent this kind of shit from happening. Because in this situation, diesel like literally went into a river. So yeah, let's see. Diesel fuel and oil spilled into the new river, and containment measures will be deployed. CXX said. The company also noted that the coal train was empty and was not transporting hazardous materials. I do love that. Also, 22 empty rail cars derailed. But I love that they like to mention, hey, this could have been worse, and it wasn't. So that's good. Yes, yes, thumbs up, yes. It's like, it freaks me out that these trains, I don't know, man, because trains, I've always seen them all the time in my town, whatever. I never stop to think how potential fragile like this whole setup is, because you would just think that this just would not be. um you know and I feel like the CEOs and the spokespeople from these companies like to make it seem like it's a freak thing and it's so minor, but it's like, no, if you put more money and time into investing into your actual trains, making them as modernized as possible, also making sure that you have crews able to actually do good, thorough safety inspections and run the trains, and not be tired, not be overworked, I feel like you're gonna see even less of these things happening. So, yeah, man, another day, another train wreck, huh? Let's see. We can move along. I don't want to stick on that too much for too long. Louis. Oh, this is from CNN. Louisville police have pattern of excessive force and discrimination. Department of Justice says. So this kind of comes as like an aftermath of investigations into the Louisville Police Department. Post Breonna Taylor, that whole no knock raid bullshit that took place, that shouldn't have happened at all. Like, it just shouldn't have happened. And then, not to mention the fact that they tried to downplay the whole situation like it was their fault, and in the media and social media, whatever, like Breonna Taylor was even villainized and her boyfriend was villainized and all this fucking dumb shit, man. We can read some. I do like this little blurb that they do on CNN, and they also have like a live coverage ticker, which we might read a little bit more on. The Justice Department issued a scathing report Wednesday on Louisville Police Department after a nearly 2-year review launched following the death of Breonna Taylor in a botched raid in 2020. The Department of Justice found that Louisville officers have called black people monkeys, animal, and boy. The report also said officers videotaped themselves throwing drinks at pedestrians and insulted people with disabilities. The police department also used unreasonable tactics, including unjustified neck restraints, police dogs, and tasers. The executed search warrants and without knocking and announcing, according to the review. So essentially, yet again, no surprise, these motherfuckers just went into head busting mode, and they just wanted to just like control the streets. And I don't know, it's very frustrating to, hear these kind of stories from people because you know that this isn't an isolated event. You just know it's not. It happens every fucking where. I hate when motherfuckers try to get on social media or whatever and they talk about I've never experienced, and these are people of color, by the way. They're like, I've never experienced racism. Like, I've only had good interactions with cops. Like, I don't understand why this is being blown out of proportion. Like, yeah, bad things happen, but that's not everybody. That's not everyone's experience. Overall, things are good. It's like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Like, I want to grab people like that by the shoulders. Like, what are you doing? Because, look, great, you had a good run. GG's, that's awesome. But that's not everyone's experience, and you're also not thinking about the system that's at play. At the end of the day, this shit should not be allowed to happen. And if it does happen, there should be more repercussions. Let's see. I want to read a little more. Let me find the blurb. Because like I said, it's like a live little timeline they had. Okay, yeah. Louisville and the police department agreed to negotiate a consent decree with the Department of Justice. Here's what that means. Now that the federal government has presented its findings about what has happened within the Louisville Police Department, the next step is aimed at making sure things actually change. Let's see. The next step is a consent decree, a court-enforced settlement aimed at reforming law enforcement. Garland ended restrictions on dissent decrees in 2021 to make it easier to hold police departments accountable after years of civil unrest due to the police-involved killings of black men and women across the country. The previous policy limited when the Justice Department could use them. With a consent decree, a judge can keep tabs on a police department to make sure it's in compliance with the court-ordered agreement. So I mean, this is a step forward. It's good to have some kind of third-party monitor. That being said, there's not too much teeth in this. It's just having an eye on the police department, and hopefully this judge is someone who's going to hold them accountable. But if they're not, if they're just going to say, oh, well, that's business as usual, I understand, that makes sense to me, I get it, yada, 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 you're just doing your job, line of duty, blue line bullshit, then what really changes? These things are going to still keep happening. And once again, this is just Louisville. It's not like this is some big sweeping indictment of police as a whole, even though you're going to hear me doing that shit a lot. So, it has a short AOE, I guess you could say, area of effect for the not nerds. But I did want to talk about it. It's been making the rounds a little bit, so figured why not? Let's, throw it on the pad. Let's see. Sticking with CNN, U.S. senators unveil bipartisan bill empowering Biden to ban TikTok and other services. So the last I left you guys on TikTok and the government, TikTok versus the government. This was initially just at a government level. Like, you had to be, if you were military, if you were a government official, then you got to take off your TikTok thing. Also, a bit of a tangent. I've been learning that other countries have also been kind of doing the same kind of setup. They've been kind of saying, oh, well, maybe our officials shouldn't have it. I think Canada and also the UK will either ahead of us or behind us in this. And but now we're taking it up to a new level potentially. Now they're trying to pass this legislation, and like I said, it is bipartisan, which you love when everyone's just shaking hands in public over an issue. The legislation called restricting the emergence of security threats that risk information and communications technology, or also known as a Restrict Act. They're so good with these fucking names. It does not target TikTok specifically, but it aims to give the U.S. government new powers up to and including a ban. And so also, let's say this shit gets passed, if they can prove that TikTok is being a bit sussy if they are potentially colluding with like China, because that's really what this is about. Then they have to like hold Biden to uphold this ban, and essentially TikTok would poop cease to be allowed. Now, granted, TikTok has been like really trying to do its best to bend over backwards to say, hey, look, that's not going to happen. We're not going to give up all this information that's being stored, gathered, whatever. We're not going to give all that data to China. That's not what we're here for. We just want to make fucking money. We just want to milk you guys with ad sales while you look at weird, dumb videos about whatever. But politicians are not buying it. And I think in this whole little, I don't know, this geopolitical bullshit that we're trying to do, like we want to try to like make sure that we're shoring up ourselves. And I mean, also they do try to state that this is foreign adversaries. Venezuela gets mentioned, Cuba gets mentioned, Russia. So all the quote unquote baddies, all the baddies. Um, the Rose Gallery is like, hey, we gotta keep him out. We gotta keep him away from our data, Jack. So yeah, I do find this development interesting. I personally don't like it. And I gotta say, I don't like TikTok. I'm not a TikTok enjoyer. I don't get on there often. I feel like when I do get on there, I black out for like 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I feel like I've learned nothing, but I don't like that. So, it's not like I want to see TikTok thrive here, but I don't like the idea of the government trying to whack down a tech company because they're just worried that it's from another country. I do get though the idea of like data security. I do think that's important. But I think the idea of making sure that we've gone to the extent of saying, hey, all this data is literally on U.S. servers. Like China can't touch it. Like what can they do? Like they could issue a mandate, but they can't take it. Like unless I'm misconstruing this, right? I don't know. This does seem like something that it's just kind of being done for buzz by our politicians. But hey, like I said, it's bipartisan. Yay! Red and blue. We're all getting together. Fuck tech. Woo. Fuck TikTok. All our homies hate TikTok. But also, it does span, like, for just technology in general. So that's, once again, another appeal. Because let's say something else does come out, and maybe that's a bit sussy. Um, okay, maybe this shouldn't be a thing, or maybe this should be regulated a little bit harder, or what have you. So, and also there's another bill, Marco Rubio, bleh, who is a senator. He wanted to introduce a bill that would ban transactions by social media companies based in or under the substantial influence of companies considered U.S. foreign adversaries. Oh man, who isn't an adversary these days? I just wanted to bring that up. This is a long article. It's kind of a bit of a snoozer, if you ask me. So we can go and move along to something a little bit more jazzy, a little bit more local. But first, let me take my break. Ooh, yeah. All right. Ooh. Okay. From people. African. Sorry. Oh. Ooh. African serval. African serval cat rescued from Ohio tree tests positive for cocaine. My gosh. Um, Amiry is now in the care of the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden and may become an animal ambassador at the facility. Um, and this is a bit of a fast forward because this was on March 8th. I looked at an article from CNN, He is going to be a part of the Cincinnati Zoo. He is so cute, such a cute little serval cat. But I gotta give it to people here. Cocaine Bear is in the theaters, but Cocaine Cat is in Ohio. You goddamn right. But yeah, this is definitely an odd situation that took place. Um, let's see. In January, the over 30-pound cat named Amiry escaped from his owner's car in the city Oakley neighborhood. Amory at first was thought to be a leopard, was found high in a tree when Hamilton County dog wardens and Cincinnati Animal Care responded to the scene. So they're in for a bit of surprise there to find out it's like, oh, this is a literal African serval cat. Like, what? Granted, if it was a leopard, that would still be equally crazy if you ask me. But then they wound up doing a toxicology report on the cat. Also, sadly, his leg was broken while they were trying to like get him. Like I don't want to say apprehend. Apprehend feels like the wrong word, but they were like trying to rescue him, and in the process, he did get a broken leg. But they also did a toxicology report on him, and that's when they found out he had cocaine in his system. Now, excuse me, they're not sure what the like whether it was done intentionally or whether because the owner just had it around and maybe like it's in the air and it just kind of gets into the cat system. That can happen. Not saying that makes it okay. Obviously it's not, and I know people are gonna think like, what, you can just own a fucking serval cat? No, you can't. That was illegal. You're not allowed to do that. Okay, that's not Ohio style. All right. But that being said, it's nice to hear that I think they're just working with the owner. Like now, obviously, it's at the zoo now, but I don't think they're putting any charges on the owner, which I like. I think that's a good thing. I think it's definitely obviously a fuck up. Might have to pay some fines or something. Who knows? But like, yeah, whoops daisy, I guess. But yeah, cocaine cat. What the fuck? That's all I got for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you would like to support the podcast, patreon.com, so there's news. You get bonus access to episodes. You get a quick link to the Discord, which is already free. You can hit me up. You can get invited. And then also gmail.com or zanews1 at gmail.com. I don't know why I switched up. Also, you can hit me up on Facebook. You can hit me up on Twitter. And that's all I got. Hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love you. Bye-bye. Mwah.